So yeah, Lounge of Life, it's an alternative nightlife experience. Our goal is just to solve a problem by giving young people 18 plus a place where they can come and socialize and have fun without feeling the pressures of excessive drinking and drugs and everything else that's running rampant in society.
Yeah.
At the same time, we want to be a light amongst the generation in hopes to bring home prodigal sons and daughters and reach those that are bound to this lifestyle week in and week out. So our goal is to launch Lounge of Life as a nonprofit restaurant lounge with a nightclub feel. Anytime you eat at the restaurant, actually goes back to meet local needs in the city. And then Friday and Saturday nights, we'll cater a substance-free, drug-free, controlled nightclub experience for those 18 and up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds like an environment that, for families and just to be in a substance-free environment like that. And I'm sure it's probably Christian music. And
yeah, Christian music, DJs, artists, musicians, that play, and then we also use it to reach people, like I was saying as well. So it's all the things like a club would be without all the negatives. You know,
exactly.
We're losing so many young people each and every weekend to this lifestyle of drinking and drugs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So 80% of like high school seniors within the church are falling away from the church. 80% of college students are binge drinking on a regular basis. College students make up the largest risk of drug abusers nationwide.
Yeah.
So there's just so many young people want to go out and have fun, but then out in our world, the enemy's created all those environments for them, and there's really no alternative to that. You know, and fun in the world's eyes is, how fast can I black out?
Exactly.
How many drugs can I do? And it's just so filled with such destructive social behaviors. And like I was saying, young people on Friday and Saturday night, like they can only stay home so many times. And I think the enemy just has all-out attack, against the young generation. He understands that people want to have fun, especially when you're young. You want to meet people, you want to socialize, you want to be in community. And then he's created all those environments. So for us, we really just want to combat that. We want to educate the church. We want to educate high school seniors within the church. And then we also see this as a huge opportunity to actually reach the lost. We think Lounge Life is being all things to all men and meeting a generation right where they are.
Yes, amen, amen. Yeah. And I'm sure you agree that today's generation, I mean, they're so hungry for realness. They're so hungry for relationships and community, and it's the world of social media, right? I mean, it's the generation of social media is got its grip on this generation.
Yeah.
But I think in a way God's using that for good, because it's creating craving for something deeper in people, because social media can be so shallow, right? I mean, people are living their lives out through just texting and Instagram, and but I think the youth today is just really craving real relationships, real faith, the real God, real depth. Authenticity, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are craving that. And what's sad is the enemy's giving them a counterfeit. These young people are also going to these festivals, right? So there's festivals that happen all throughout, America. And we just had Memorial Day weekend. It's like there's big festivals going on throughout the weekend just previously. But I even seen a post recently on Instagram, and it was just this guy that was at a festival, and it's his first time at EDC. And he was just talking about, I've never been around so much unity. I've never been around so much love before. And what's so sad is everybody at EDC is mainly, they're taking ecstasy. They're taking a drug, right? And so I've taken ecstasy before, synthetic drug. And when I was on it, I felt love. I felt unity. We were all friends. We all loved one another. And here's this guy having this experience, but yet he's on a pill and talking about how much love there was and how much unity there was. But then what the sad part is once the pill wears off, all of a sudden kids' eyes are black, their jaws are just shaking and clenching their jaws. Then they want to fight everybody. They go from loving each other to fighting everybody, And so the enemy is just giving everybody a false sense of what you were just talking about, the community, the love, the coming together. And so we want to really expose that, but then also we want to create a place, where people can come and actually have real authentic relationships.
And have fun
and be real with one another.
Exactly,
let's talk about life. Let's have fun. Let's dance. But then let's pull the gold out of one another and point each other towards the greatness that God has. Yeah.
I love that, pull the gold out.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's good.
I mean, that doesn't really happen in a party. It's more like, hey, take a hit of this, or take a shot of that. And, I don't really care what you're going through. I just care if you maybe have a VIP booth, and a bottle and that I can drink off of. Other than that, I don't really care about what's going on in your life, and people, I think people see that, but they don't have, they don't see really other outlets. And unfortunately, young people within society right now too, it's maybe they're not necessarily ready for church, right? It's they see that, but they're not, maybe they have their own views of the church and whatnot. But Lounge of Life, I think, again, is is something that's being all things to all men and really going to help reach and be a bridge for a generation.
Meeting people where they are.
Meeting people where they are. Just going out to them.
And so youth groups can go and hang out, and I can just, I can imagine it's a good draw for the youth groups.
Yeah.
And,
all the college groups.
Yeah.
So
true. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's 18 and over.
18 and over.
Right. Yep.
And I think it's we did a pop-up not too long ago, and a lot of the young adults were out there. And what's so cool too is young adults, pastors can come too, and they can rub shoulders with people that aren't even in the church, Exactly. And so we prepare the church too, like, hey, listen, like, you're going to come to this event.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people here that are unchurched. Like the way we promote all of our events called Pure Fridays. I used to run nightclubs. I used to be in that industry for a very long time, and I got radically saved, which we'll probably end up talking about.
Uh-huh.
But the whole way we market this thing is we're on mainstream radio. We promote Pure Fridays on mainstream radio. We do social media ads that are just reaching, targeting local colleges. And so even at the last event that we had over 40% were probably unchurched young adults. So and that's what we want to see, And so letting the church know, you can come here. It's going to be a safe place for you, but it's also a place where you can invite people to that, at your college that you don't know Jesus.
Just have fun and clean night of fun and just fellowship. I mean, we call it fellowship in the church, but just hanging out with friends.
And pastors can again rub shoulders with young adults that aren't even
and also with
church.
Each other. It's a great way for pastors to also network with each other too, isn't it?
Definitely.
So in a different way.
So it brings the body together too. The unity aspect.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely I know there's a story behind all this, and I want to get to that too. So let's go way back. Take you way back. Your childhood. Tell me about how you grew up.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in the church, and then I was in Christian school. I was in a local church here called Destiny Church. It used to be called Sunset here in the Sacramento region. So I grew up there. Again, I was in a school in Auburn called Foresight Christian School. So I was your typical sheltered kid within the church. And then unfortunately, my parents divorced my 8th grade year going into my freshman year in high school. And that was just a really bad time for our family. Things really blew up. And I kind of lost my way through that, stopped going to church, unfortunately, and it was just a really hard time. And then in high school, I kind of I went from a Christian school into a public school. Again, wasn't going to church anymore. Things were just chaotic within the family. And a lot of pressure just from, again, peer pressure is just a huge thing, like even college students and even high school students, but a lot of peer pressure just from friends I was meeting within the high school, and even in my neighborhood. They're smoking weed, they're drinking, they're in that whole lifestyle. I said no quite a bit, but then eventually I caved in and I smoked weed for the first time. And at first I was like, oh man, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but then I realized it actually helped me, because I was going through so much within the home that it helped me check out. It helped me cope with what I was dealing with all the chaos that was happening. And so I used it to kind of just cope and fly under the radar and not have to deal with the things that was going on in life. Numb out. And so that led me to, the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And it's like as soon as I start smoking, all of a sudden I'm partying, and I was the party boy all through high school, throwing parties, having parties, and and then I graduated high school. I tried every drug you could think of in high school too, unfortunately. And then once I graduated high school, my dad is very wealthy. He owns a large corporation here locally. And so anyways, I graduated high school. I went into working for him full time. And I started making really, really good money at a young age. But yet now I still have this party boy mentality. I'm just at every party within the region. I'm throwing some of the hottest parties, just even in high school in the region. And then now I'm graduating, now I'm making really, really good money at a young age.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, so it's just funding this party lifestyle even more. So and then I started getting into the nightclub scene, and so I moved downtown, and then I was making really good money at a young age, and then now I'm in the nightclub scene and I'm starting to meet guys that are making way more money than I am. I'm in my 20s. And these guys I'm meeting are in their mid-30s, and they're making way more money than I am. They're driving around in Maseratis, Lamborghinis, and I'm just getting connected to this whole scene of people, VIP everywhere. And what's so crazy on that journey is the enemy, there's that scripture that says, what's the point of getting the whole world if you're just gonna lose your soul? So it's he gives you more and more and more as you go. And so now I'm just in this place. I'm going out I'm going out 4 nights a week. I'm at the hottest parties here in Sacramento. I'm rolling VIP everywhere. But unfortunately, I picked my drug of choice now at the time was cocaine, because I used to party and drink and I used to get tired. So cocaine actually allowed me to like continue to, you know, be up and not be sleepy and whatnot. And so I wanted to keep partying. So now like every time I'm going out, I'm doing cocaine. I'm popping ecstasy pills too, and I'm taking crazy trips all over the place, all over, you know, from Southern California to LA. And I mean, I had connections in Vegas that like we could go anywhere we wanted to go. I knew the Maloofs, they owned the Sacramento Kings back then, and so I had connections there. And we used to take Palms limo bus wherever we wanted to go, and I used to hang out with, you know, famous people. A lot of famous people would be with us hanging out and whatnot. Some people were shooting their trailers for their different shows that they're doing and stuff. And so I'm only 22 years old, and I'm just in this place of like, gain the world, losing my soul, you know, and I have access to everything, but yet I'm just so deep into drugs, and I come back from these parties and I'd be just so depressed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I was just caught in this vicious cycle of just partying, you know. So anyways, how this all kind of comes to an end is I went to Lake Tahoe when I was 25 years old. I went to Lake Tahoe. A lot of people go to Lake Tahoe around here to party, and I believe it was New Year's. And so anyways, I was up there, I was partying all night, and I was like blacked out drunk at 3 in the morning. I didn't have any cocaine to help balance me out. So at this point I'm like blacked out drunk, and I'm texting a few drug dealers that I know trying to find drugs, and one of the guys hits me back. He says, hey, I don't have cocaine, but I have ecstasy if you like it. So I was, yeah, I'll take that. So I met up with him, and I bought a bag of 200 ecstasy pills. I was just, again, obliterated drunk, and I ended up buying all these ecstasy pills. Went back to our hotel, and there was only about 10 of us. And I was so drunk, I needed like an instant high. Like cocaine will give you an instant high. Ecstasy takes a little longer to actually get in your system. So as soon as I got back, I took 6 pills right away. Wow. And then my buddy, every 15 minutes or so, he'd come by and be like, hey, Paul, I got something for you. And he'd throw a pill up in the air, and I'd run around like it was a game, and I would catch it in the air. Wow. And I took about 50-something ecstasy pills that night going in the next day, believe it or not.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I was just eating them like they were candy.
Wow, Paul.
And even that alone, I should have died. I should have died.
Seriously, you should have died. Yes.
Definitely. I mean, I should have at least got my stomach pumped, like end up in an ambulance. But somehow I got through the weekend, and then I got home from that trip. I wake up on Monday morning, and I had never felt an anxiety before, but all of a sudden an anxiety came over me, and I heard a quiet little voice say, Paul, you got to change your life. You can't keep living this way. And all of a sudden my life flashed before my eyes, and it showed me, as a young kid, all the times my mom used to take me to church and dress me up in a little tuxedo, and all the great memories I had in my Christian school. And then it showed my parents, you know, their divorce and all the hurts and pains I was actually dealing with because of that. Then it showed me just kind of suppressing all that stuff. Then it showed me spiraling into partying. You know, because of the hurt, I just spiraled into partying. Yeah. All the drinking I was doing, all the drugs I was doing, all the, you know, being with women, and just craziness all the time, you know, just deeper and deeper into drugs, deeper and deeper into drinking and alcohol and whatnot. So, and then it showed me at 25 years old in this very, very dark place. And all of a sudden I snapped out of it. And I was left just thinking about how, you know, I was just this image of me in this dark place. Then I was left in a state of confusion. I didn't understand how I got there at 25 years old. And so anyways, that night when I went to jump into bed, I jumped into bed, and my mind was just racing. Like, you know, when you're living a fast-paced lifestyle, like you don't stop to think about what you're going through. You know, you don't stop to kind of...
You don't stop at all.
No, you just keep going because you don't want to stop to actually think about life.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to hear you don't want to be alone with your own thoughts.
No, sure. And all the things you're just suppressing, not dealing with, and, you know, hurts, pains, whatever it may be. So, you know, throughout that journey, maybe 1 or 2 things had come up here and there throughout that journey, and I did a really good job of suppressing that. One way is that night when I jumped in bed, everything I've been suppressing for 10 years just lifted, and it all came up at one time. And it was just uncontrollable. Like, my anxiety was so high, and like all these thoughts were just racing through my head of things that I just hadn't been dealing with. And anyways, that night I didn't get any sleep. That spiraled me into 4 months of insomnia, depression, and anxiety. On the 4th day of not being able to sleep, I came home from work, and I seen the sun starting to set. And all of a sudden when it started to set, like a fear just hit me, like it just gripped me. And I just said to myself, am I gonna be able to sleep tonight? I haven't slept for 4 days. I'm not on drugs. Just my anxiety's been so high that I haven't been able to sleep. So as soon as that fear struck me, like I jumped in bed that night, same thing started happening, but then all of a sudden things in my room, I started having things happen in my room that weren't natural. I started having like dark presences and images within my room that were legit coming at me and attacking me. Every time I went to try to go to sleep, I was like laying there, and it felt like every time I shut my eyes to go to bed, it felt like someone was trying to suck the living life out of me from like below my bed. Wow. And I mean, I'm lost. I'm not a Christian. I'm not pleading the blood of Jesus. Like, I'm a lost party boy. So I have no clue what's going on. And that went on for 4 months, spiritual warfare over my life.
You didn't cry out to God during that time at all?
I was confused. I didn't know what was going on, and the enemy had just had me so confused in my mind, and then not sleeping too. You're starting to go pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was definitely times within that 4 months of like, should I go to the hospital? You know, like, but then I was having images and like lies probably, like if you go to the hospital, they're gonna put you in a mental institute. And I was having these images.
I thought you were going crazy.
I thought I was going crazy. So it's like, if I go in there and tell them what I'm dealing with, I'm getting attacked day in and day out by something that I don't even see. Like, they're gonna just label me crazy and put me in a mental institute or something. So I fought this with my strength, you know. And 4 months later, I literally got to a place. Talks about in the Bible that you know, Jesus would go up to people and they would be mute. They'd be so oppressed demonically by darkness that these people couldn't even speak. And he would come and he'd lay hands on them and they would be free. You know, the things to be lifted off them and broken. And literally that was me. 4 months later, I was mute. I couldn't speak. I didn't know what day of the week it was. Like, I hadn't slept for who knows how long. I had dropped 60-something pounds. I couldn't go to work. I was losing my mind. And you give me a piece of paper and you come back an hour or 15 minutes later, hey, Paul, where's that piece of paper at? I'd have no clue. I mean, it was scary. So anyways, I was too scared to be living at home, so I actually stayed at my dad's house this one night. I'm staying there, I'm trying to sleep all night, and every time I was going to bed, like, I was getting attacked all night long. And then every time I shut my eyes, I felt like someone was literally trying to suck the life out of me. And so my dad wakes up at 6 a.m. to go to work, and I'm laying there on the couch, and my dad looks over at me, and he could tell I was going through it, and he looks over at me and goes, hey, Paul, like, try to do something today. Like, try to rake the leaves, try to do anything. And in his mind, he just thought, if I can get Paul up and I can get him doing something, I don't care how small it is, like, if I can just get him moving, then maybe that'll help him get going again in life. And so I heard what he said, but I couldn't even respond, and then he left. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm just thinking to myself, what is going on? You know, and I heard what he said, and then the dishwasher was running in the home, and this is a home I was raised in since I was a little kid, and I hear the dishwasher running, and then all of a sudden it stops, and I said to myself, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna load the dishes. I know it's the smallest little task, but I'm gonna take everything within my strength and power, and I'm gonna do this. You know, because at this point I hadn't been able to do anything. And so I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna accomplish this, and this is gonna help me get going again in life. With everything I had, the smallest thing, I'm gonna do this. And I get up to go and load the dishes, and I pulled a cup and a bowl out of the dishwasher. I looked up at the kitchen cabinets, and then I walked up to the kitchen cabinets and opened up the cupboard door to put the cup away. And as I opened up the cupboard door to put the cup away, it ends up being the spice rack. I took a step back and I was like, what the heck? That is weird. And so I looked at the kitchen cabinets again. I said to myself, well, it's got to be this one. So I walked up to the cabinet door and I opened up the cupboard door, and it ends up being the Tupperware. And I had a cup. And I just lost it. Like, nobody changed anything. Like, it's just, I was going through so much trauma. I didn't even know where these things went. I just kept picking the wrong door. And I just lost it.
You couldn't function.
I couldn't even function.
Sounds like,
And I just broke down, weeping, crying in that moment. And I just broke down on my knees and I just started bawling. And it was so scary because in that moment, I felt like this is it. My life is over. Like, I'm gonna die today. I literally felt death. And I said to myself, this is what death feels like. And I felt, what was crazy is I felt this darkness on me. I felt a little darkness on me. I knew if I die today, I'm not going somewhere good. But there's nothing within my own strength that can change this outcome. Like, I have nothing left in me. And whatever's been going on, all this attack is literally like, this is it, my life's over. And whatever has been attacking me, like, I can't make it through this. And I was just in this hopeless state, rock bottom, like, had no hope, like, and anyways, I got up off the kitchen floor and I walked into my dad's front living room. I sat down on this couch and I'm still weeping, crying, and I'm just in just this desperate state. And out of nowhere, I turned on the TV, and I clicked up on a few stations on the TV, and then all of a sudden the pastor starts preaching, and he starts saying, "Rise above, you could do it, rise above." And then right then and there, I heard a small voice, and it was the same voice that spoke to me 4 months prior. It said, "Look down." And I was like, "What? Look down?" And so I looked down, and on my chest, my tattoo says, "Rise above." That's exactly what this man's preaching on the TV. And then that voice spoke again and said, "Paul, I was with you when you got that tattoo a few months ago. I knew this day was going to come in your life. I love you and I have plans for you." And I felt the presence of God fall from the top of my head, shot down my whole entire body. And, you know, in that moment where I felt death, all of a sudden I felt life. You know, where I felt anxiety, I felt peace. You know, where I felt despair, I felt hope. I was literally, everything that was holding me down, and it just broke completely off me in that moment. And I was literally born again. Wow. Jesus came and he just set me free, and he encountered me, and I was born again in that moment. I felt the power of God come on me, and led me to a Bible, and my life has been changed ever since then.
How long ago was this?
That was in 2009, going into 2010.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
An incredible story. I mean, you had to get to such a dark place. I mean, it's like, your lifestyle had such a grip on you, and I'm sure your mind, you seem like a person who is very strong-willed and driven in what you want to accomplish.
Yes, definitely.
And
well, it's that Italian in me.
Yeah, okay. But God had to, allow you to just get to that place of complete, like, I have nothing left in me.
Yeah.
You had to get to the end of yourself. And then that's when the power of God could just say, okay, I've got you.
Yeah.
I've got you.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. And plus, you seem like the kind of person that would need like a
wake-up
call.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's that Italian, and it's like we're just stubborn, know.
That's so powerful, though. I mean, and so had you experienced depression in your life previous
Never.
to that? Okay.
No. And that's what's so beautiful about Jesus and God is like, he came, he didn't have to do what he did that day. He already did enough on the cross.
Exactly.
We look around and know that there's a God, but he loves us so much. He wants none to perish, and it's his goodness that draws a man to repentance, and that's what drives me each and every day today. Is that he is a good Father. He loves us so much, and he didn't have to save me that day, but he came and he saved me. And he also showed me too, which broke my heart for my peers. It broke my heart for a generation that's out there partying and, living this whole lifestyle that I was living. It says in the Word that the road is narrow, the road is wide that leads to destruction. But the road is narrow that leads to life. And when I was out there partying, I was like, how can this be wrong? Everybody's doing it. But again, that's because we're on the wide road. We're all lost. And God just showed me that, and and he also showed me that when he came and spoke to me the first time, Paul, you got to change your life. There was 4 months of a battle over my life. Darkness and light over my life. Because why? Because the enemy, darkness, wanted me to continue going down the road I was going because I was influencing for the wrong reasons. I was using my gifts for the wrong reasons. All those things. And then when God called out to me, there was a battle that the Lord allowed me to feel, to bring me into light. And also in that moment of just rock bottom too, what really breaks my heart too, and why I got to reach people, why I got to reach this generation is even in that moment of rock bottom, hell is the absence of God's presence. And in that moment, I felt suffering.
Yes, you felt.
I felt despair. I felt depression. I felt darkness. I felt anxiety. And that's what hell is. It's that on a much larger scale forever. I feel like God gave me a glimpse of what hell is going to be like. And I want nobody to experience that. And on the other end, it's like hope and life. And so God has broken my heart for my peers, but God has broken my heart for a generation, those that are in that lifestyle right away. He just showed me that they're lost. Not only was I lost, but they're lost as well. And he pulled me out. And now he's just called me to go back, to where I was and where I came from. And I believe he's built Lounge of Life to really restore a generation to himself because they're called and chosen. He's got great things for them, and he's going to use it to restore them to himself.
Absolutely. And just like you talked about, you were using your influence for bad previously. God's given you a gift of influence and leadership, and you have a voice, a powerful voice, and you're using that for the wrong kingdom.
Yes,
kingdom
definitely.
Of darkness, and now you're using that for God's glory. It's so beautiful to see just that, such a dramatic conversion, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And and that's and it's been cool because here locally I've been able to be with influencers and people that are within this scene. I feel called to reach people. I feel called to reach influencers, and I get to sit down with them and I get to share my testimony with them. I also get to talk to them though about influence. A lot of these people that are running nightclubs and gathering all these people, they're evangelists. They're able to connect with people.
Recruiters.
They're recruiters. And I get to talk to them like, either you're going to use those gifts, like that is me out there. Gathering people and influencing people. I talk to them about influence. Either you're going to use your influence for yourself, for your selfish gain, and for darkness, or you're going to use your influence for God and for great things and be able to leave a legacy and make this world a better place.
It reminds me of the verse that says, he who has been forgiven much loves much. And we've all been forgiven, those of us who are in Christ, all of us. And so it's really important that we get really connected to what we've been forgiven of. And your story, you had that dramatic experience of where it's like you've been there, you've been in the pit, and so when you've been there and then been forgiven, and that transformation, it just drives you to have that heart for others, because you've been there. But all of us as Christians have been delivered from eternal hell, and from whatever any Christian is going through, there's a deliverance for all of us, right? And so I just really feel it's important for all of us as believers to really recognize and grab a hold of and ask Jesus for a fresh realization of what he's done for us on the cross, so that we can be just on fire for him. Amen. So that we can bring that passion to other people of that how Jesus is the deliverer no matter what you're going through. Your story may not be everyone else's story, but everyone has things
they all have a story, and Jesus can meet them.
Bondage and all those things. And Jesus can take any life.
And that love should motivate us.
Exactly.
That love that we have, that Christ loves up, should motivate us.
That's right.
To get outside of our comfort zone. I've been thinking a lot about pastoring your environment lately. I mean, each and every day, yes, do I roll in evangelism? Yeah. But I feel like it's also the Father's heart. The Father's heart, when you experience that love motivates you to love other people and to step out and share and just be light. And so I live that on a daily basis. And I was in the gym with a friend of mine, and he said to me, he goes, Paul, you're like the pastor of the gym. And it just registered with me, because I witnessed 6 people that day within the gym, and just, I know people because of other times I've encountered them and got to speak life into their situation. So now I recognize that guy from last week that I talked to him. But it's I'm walking in there, hey, how you doing? Like a pastor walks into a church, right? It's like, hey, how's Sally doing? I've been praying for her or whatnot. But now, within the gym, I'm going up to people hey, how's that situation? I've been praying for you. And I've been, just speaking life over people. And I feel like us as the body of Christ, when we encounter that love, maybe we don't all feel like an evangelist, but at the same time, we all should be carrying the Father's heart. And we have the ability to pastor our environments.
Well, we are environment changers. The moment we walk in with the Holy Spirit, then we can change any environment. But the fact is, sometimes, I believe, as believers, we are more prone to focus on our problems than our faith and trusting in Jesus that he's with us every moment, and it's not in our own strength but in his strength, and letting Jesus into the deepest need of who we are, into the deepest part of our pain, like your story demonstrates. And when we have that experience of just letting him clean us and just purify us and heal us, we walk in tremendous power.
Totally.
Because it's not a superficial relationship with Jesus that he's after a deep relationship with him, and that's what changes us, and that's what changes other people around us.
That's where the breakthrough comes from too. Exactly. When we get our eyes off of our situation, and we just make it about other people,
that's right.
God handles our situation. He already knows our needs.
Exactly.
He's already going to do it.
Exactly.
And so that it's in Proverbs it says, those who refresh others, will they themselves be refreshed? That's the thing. Amen. Do you want to be filled up? You got to give out. You got to take what God has given you and you got to give that out. And when you do that, you're just continually refreshed. I might be in a bad place or feeling down one day, but when I get to have an opportunity to speak to somebody, whether it's at the gas station, whether at the store or at the gym, I walk away from that encouraged. Every time God uses me, it's it just brings me life. It's wow, I'm just so humbled by God using me. But that refreshes me every time. And so not being so inwardly focused and getting our eyes off our own situation. And when we do that, we really can walk and just break through, and we can really impact everything around us.
And you hit the nail on the head about not being so internally focused. A lot of times we are more self-focused or self-conscious instead of being God-conscious.
Yeah, totally.
And it's so freeing to be God-conscious and to live in that expectancy that he's going to do amazing things through us. But a lot of times we talk about amazing things, and I've got so-and-so has an amazing call in their life, or so-and-so is wow, they're going to do great things. And sometimes I do think that there's too much focus on doing big things with God.
Yeah, come on.
When doing big things is just loving people every day right where we are.
Yes.
It's not about the platform.
Yeah, it isn't.
There may be a platform in your calling, but it's not about that. Yeah. It's about Jesus, and it's about just loving people as Jesus does. And just like the magazine says, when we share the radical love, we can expect miracles.
Yeah.
It's
so good.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be about the lights and the superstar.
I just went through that. I actually just went through that probably a year and a half ago or so. Just wrestling, as a young man, like, hey, I need a career, God. Like in the process, the last 2 years of like trying to launch things, and just in that moment of the wilderness, sort of say, like wrestling with God, saying like, well, God, I need a career as a man. Like I need to be doing something that whatever it may be, and the Lord just speaking to me, saying, Paul, like I was saying, like, well, I need a vision. I need a career or whatever. And the Lord just said, Paul, like, I'm your career.
That's right.
Like, I'm your vision, Paul.
That's right.
Like, even when we get to our career or vision, whatever it may be, what's at the center of that?
That's right.
It's simply following Him.
That's right.
Paul, are you not just okay with following me? It says in His Word, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men.
That's right.
Like, the Lord literally spoke to me, Paul, like, for the rest of your life, if you're literally just following me and being a fisher of men, are you going to be okay with that?
Am I enough?
Is that enough? And I was just like, yeah, I am. Like, I'm totally okay with just fishing all day long. And it's not about the platform or whatever else. God has big plans for us, but even in the midst of when we get to that big plan or whatever it may be, it's never about a destination, it's always about a process. But even when we're there, it's still the simple of what's at the center of that. Following Jesus.
That's right.
And what is He about? He's about people. And God spoke to me early in my walk with God. He said to me, Paul, just be authentic with people, love people well, and I'll take care of the bigger things.
Amen. Amen. I love that. And as far as loving people radically, I would go so far as to say, if you're a Christian and you don't love people, then I have to challenge you, do you really love Jesus?
Yeah.
Because if you love Jesus, you love people, period.
Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing in the Bible is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah,
everything hangs on that.
Yeah.
Everything, period, right? And
so
the love of Jesus is everything, and it heals, it delivers, it transforms.
Yeah.
It produces hope, peace,
faith.
I mean, prosperity. I mean, prosperity can look like different things. Though it doesn't have to be monetary prosperity. Just prosperity in what we're, in our abundance of our lives.
Totally.
So, Jesus is. Thank you, Lord, for who you are. It's
Definitely.
Amazing.
When you catch the Father's heart, you can't not help but like talk to people or love people.
I know, right?
It's like you seek Him, and then He's like, okay, now it's that whole thing like, Peter, do you love me? Okay, go feed my sheep.
Exactly.
But it's like when you seek Him, it's like, okay, I love you, and then He's like, okay, like you get filled up, and He's like, well, I love people, so go, be my witness and love people.
Paul, we just need to be really intentional about showing people who Jesus really is, who He is, because I think a lot of the world has a misconception about who Jesus is. They think He's rules, regulations, no fun. They think that Jesus is just about, condemnation, judgment, all those things, right? Yeah. And that's, as we well know, that's not who Jesus is. When you fall in love with Jesus, you want to follow His ways.
Totally.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
And following His ways is an outflowing of our love for Him. It's not the opposite. But so many times we have it opposite. Well, if you're a Christian, you have to do all the right things. But if you love Jesus, you do the right things.
Exactly.
But it's a journey.
Yeah.
You don't do them all right perfectly right away, right? But it's a journey. And so it's, again, it boils down to that love.
Totally. It's like I don't read my Bible every day because I have to.
Yeah, you want to.
You
can't not.
I love God. Yeah. And He loves me. And I don't go do certain things anymore because I love, like God, I felt God's love and I love Him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to church every Sunday because I have to, know?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing is, like when you're in when you're married, you don't go do certain things anymore.
That's right.
You don't make certain decisions, and you include your spouse in all the decisions that you make because you love that person.
That's right.
And that's what the world needs to understand is like God loves us, and we love Him, and He's good, and His ways are good. And so I mean, it's that having to, the religious as far as like I have to do all these different things. That's not what it's about,
It's not a performance.
Yeah,
That's
definitely
right.
not.
That's right. I love your story. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
Gosh, I know, I can see that God definitely has His hand on you with, using your story for just powerful. I mean, when you're speaking, I can just feel that anointing just pouring out, and it's really good. Thank you for
amazing.
that. Thank you for being faithful, and thank you for being honest too about your story.
Yeah, of course.
And when's your opening?
Well, we're getting ready to do our next pop-up.
That's right.
So we're in the process.
We're trying to get
we're in the process. We're raising the funds,
yeah.
getting the financial backing. So at these pop-ups, we're really building momentum for Lounge of Life. We're using them to reach the lost as well.
Yeah.
And then we're inviting potential donors out to actually give them a real-time look at the impact we can have every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
So that way, and we casting the vision for the, casting vision for our future goals. So we're in that startup phase still.
God will provide. I mean,
God's spoken over it. He said He woke me up a long time ago. Lounge Life came after I got saved. He woke me up in the middle of the night. He spoke to me. He said, "Lounge Life, food for the soul." And I started writing things down, and so that was years ago. and I've been on a journey.
He will provide for the vision, and
Definitely.
that doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, though. You know, that means that you're going to have to remain faithful even when it's hard, and it may look like, God, I thought you said this was for me, and it's not looking like it's going to come to fruition. It will.
I've had those moments.
I believe that.
I've already had those moments.
You got to stay the course and
Definitely.
don't give up. You gotta persevere. So we all do, right?
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. Good to meet you.
Great to meet you. So good to be here. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this story today. I know I sure did. Wow, I got a lot out of it. I wish I had notes. I could have taken all the notes and things you were saying. But thank you again for joining us today at Megamorphosis TV. And remember that when we as believers share the radical love of Jesus, we can expect miracles.
Amen.
I love you. Yeah, I'm speechless. Yeah.